is there, then the principal, followed by teachers, and finally maybe parents and students. Yeah. Anything else about the aspect of, after we have acknowledged the personalities, we have said that governor, member of parliament, maybe chief and principal, teachers, students. What follows? Once you have mentioned that, what follows? Yes? Greetings, so that is the next. We understand greetings are there for a purpose. Why do we greet? Why should we greet people when we are talking to them? To break the silence? Yeah? To capture the attention. Any other function? Yeah? Bring it. Create a mood and also rapport. Because when you greet somebody, there is a rapport that is formed. And that question can be asked in paper 1, the other part which is not writing. Now we have greeted. What is the next? Once you have greeted, what will you tell them? Appreciation is in another place. Maybe when you are finishing. So what should be the next? I told you essay writing and speech are almost related. So what will follow? Yes. Yeah, so you introduce your speech. You introduce your speech. So you have to tell them, today I've come here to talk about time management. A very special skill that all of us require, whether we are in school, working, or at home. So that they understand what they are going to talk about. After that, yes? After that, what is the next? I thought you people normally give speeches. Yes? So how do you call all of that? The body. Yeah. So the next is body. So we are building the body of the speech. Now let's say you are talking about drugs as we had indicated. How will we break down our body? What will you cover in first paragraph, second, third? Yes.
Maybe, for example, giving out a speech, maybe on the effects of drugs. Okay, after the greetings, after the introduction, the first paragraph of the body states the effect, one of the effects of maybe the drug abuse. Then you explain how it's abused, maybe some institutions. Then afterwards you give its effects and how it can be controlled.
Do we have, maybe, can we first discuss how people abuse?
Yes.
And maybe varieties. Then after that, you can get to effects of drug abuse, and you get to resolution, or how do you solve this before you get to the sixth part. So when you are here, this is where students have a problem. You need to expand your content here. You start with the general body. What are drugs? You tell them we have drugs which we take every day when we are sick. And we have drugs which we introduce to our bodies, maybe because we are stressed, or we have been influenced by peers, or the general environment where we stay, or even some people, they get to this because of their parents. Maybe your parents started using when they are pregnant or what have you. So they get into a system when you are so young. Then you move on to how people abuse it. so that you are explaining. And while you are doing this, make sure that you are considering examples that relate to you. People cannot keep listening to you when you just refer to instances that are far away. You can even ask them, do you know how people abuse drugs? People abuse drugs in various ways. I hope you've seen in your own environments, people who smoke. They go to the shops and buy cigar, then they smoke. Have you also discovered that there are some young men that inject themselves with drugs? Yeah, so this is another form of abuse of drugs. We have those who sniff it. Have you seen in towns, more so the street boys sniffing? That is also a form of drug abuse. Among women, especially girls, some of them abuse when they feel they want to abort. They take an overdose, and that is abuse. Sometimes even people just go to the pharmacies and buy medicine. They do not actually understand how many maybe tablets they should take. So when they end up in their homes, they swallow more or less. That is also drug abuse. Do you know that, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah. So you establish variety, and you can create a story. Have you ever seen a speaker who does not create a story about themselves? You would be boring. You should create a story. You say, when I was a student, even if you have never tested drugs, then you say, when I was a student at Form 3, I got into a situation, and because of my friends who are from classic families, they told us we could be so bright and we could fail to maybe care about our environment if we take drugs. So one day we slipped from school, we went to this place, we tasted drugs, and on coming back, unfortunately, we met the principal at the gate. Just imagine what happened to us. And that is how I ended up coming from Alliance Girls and ended up in a village school, which I never liked. And as a result of that, I reformed because I went through counseling, and after that, that is why I am who I am. So they create a story, not because that is what they have gone through. Sometimes they will refer to a particular person they know. And it's not very good to say it. Like most of you when you are writing, you'll find you are saying Waititu sells drugs. You will kind of say, I don't know who does that. It is not right. Because it is just on declarations that we have not had evidence. So you don't go naming people who are popular in the society unless there was a case that was whose verdict found them guilty. Are you aware that when you do that and somebody maybe finds it, maybe they will charge you for that? Yes? Yeah, so don't give information about people and yet you don't have evidence. Now the next is you give us the effect. When people use drugs, you can ask them, when people use drugs, what effect does it cause to them? And when you are around people who take drugs, for example, if somebody smokes cigar around you, do you feel comfortable? So that means that drugs do not affect us only, they affect even those who are around us. Sometimes mothers, when you take drugs, it may not actually affect you alone, but even the child. Have you seen children who are born with the big head sometimes? Yeah. You understand that situation, isn't it? You know that condition whereby some children are born and they have very big heads. And it's a condition in biology you people should know. We have those ones who are born and they have deformities. And they're out of maybe parents having taken drugs. Yeah? Then, for example, we have respiratory illnesses. We have tooth decay, we have lung effects, we have even the general misuse of finance. So you classify the effects social, economic, and any other, so that you are getting to quote. You might even quote some areas within countries outside there, where abuse of drugs has led to high rate of crime, maybe it has led to rape cases, and so many other inconveniences in the society. Then now you get to solutions. How do we stop drugs, by the way? How can we end drugs? How can we make people stop smoking, taking marijuana? Yes? Loud enough. educate them on the dangers of drug addiction. Any other? Yeah.
Passing strict laws on those maybe the people who will be selling.
You must have strict laws that will create consequences for those who sell or hoard drugs. Any other? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, constructing rehabilitation centers whereby you can now change those people who are addicts to reform. Yeah, the society. You know, we cancel a lot of young people, but have you seen adults who are like children out there? When you are walking on the road, they are staggering, they are even speaking, urinating and all that. You know, you can't even understand whether this is a kid or an adult. So those people need counseling too, because they have lost it. They can't control themselves. Any other? Yeah. Yeah, creating awareness of drugs. By the way, do you people know that we have cakes which have drugs? Yes. And there are peddlers in the streets. We have some drinks which have it. We have, you know, people have come up with a way to sell drugs without necessarily making you aware. And when you are a kid, you might not be aware of even how marijuana looks like. Do you know how it looks like? You don't? And maybe it's in the school, because normally when the foodies are there, at the end of the project they drop them somewhere, because they take it. So they drop the seeds and you just find it in a flower or something. Do you know how maybe which other drug, Marian drugs looks like? Do you know how which other? Hashishi looks like? Yes. Do you know which other drug? You must know them, because if you don't know, someday you'll go for a date and somebody gives you and says this one will make you feel so happy, and you take it only to realize that it has drugged you. So you need to understand them. Now, after the body, what is the next in the speech? Yes. So we have the conclusion. What should be in the conclusion? Just like we said, what should be the others? Can anyone inform us what should be the conclusion of a speech? Yes. Yeah, appreciating the audience. Any other? Yes.
The speaker.
Introduce them.
See.
It is only necessary you do so here. In fact, I don't know how we forgot. When you acknowledge, by the time you're acknowledging and greeting, you should introduce yourself here. Isn't it? You introduce yourself, then the topic of the speech. But at the end, there's something you should do. Because you've covered a lot. What should you do here? Yes, I like your point, yeah. Yeah, you summarize. So, you summarize your speech. You tell them that it's an exciting day, a day that I found this an opportunity to talk to you, and I hope that you will recall, if you want to avoid drugs such as man-drugs, maybe bang, cigarettes, and all the rest, and the abuse itself and the effect that we have seen, you need to go for guidance and counseling. You need to adhere to the correct peer groups. You need to listen to your parents. And whenever you see anything strange or a new introduction of items, especially to swallow or inject yourself with, make an inquiry before you do so. Because if we don't serve this world, then drugs will take over the world itself. Then you tell them, thank you. So that is actually what a speech should have, unless there is someone who wants any clarification on the part.